Maybe a good place to start would be contrasting Tantra and Dzogchen as vehicles within which one can practice Tsa Lung or have Tsa Lung, energetic, like non-ordinary experience of sensation. So in Tantra, Tsa Lung, you have a clearly defined map of your body, and you have channels and not that you don't always have this in Dzogchen too, but this is very specific to the way that tantric practice functions. You are mapping your body to a central channel that can be found within a location in the physical body and has wheels, chakras along it, your heart, your solar plexus, your crown. And so you have a map of the body that is channels. And in tantric practice, you are generating energetic experience that you will experience as moving through, into and through those channels. So the whole system gives rise to the experience that you have. And for example, with something like Tumo practice in a tantric context, you're gathering the energy and moving the energy. You're moving the energy through those channels and experiencing the body and embodied experience in that way. So it is a structured map in which you experience the flow, the movement of energy. So you're considering, in that context, you're considering channels being separate from wind, or the energetic experience which moves through them. In Dzogchen, the way that I have learned and experienced this practice, there are some differences. Now, not all teachers within Dzogchen lineages are going to describe things in this way. There's a lot of tantric language, or things that I would regard as crossovers and overlaps with tantric experience as well. So it just depends who you'll hear as to how they will teach these different systems. So within the long day experience, it's possible to have much more of a all-pervasive window in to the way that sensation moves in the body. So it's much less prescriptive in the Namkor, the Sky Realm series, much less prescription about where sensation will arise or what you do with sensation. You don't do anything with the sensation once it arises. You are finding what the natural movement of sensation is when it is non-constricted and non-constrained, when there is free space within which sensation plays. So therefore, the experience that these exercise movements give rise to is going to be more nebulous, less clearly defined, less understood as being or expecting it to be in a particular location. Even the understanding of what the central channel means is really quite different according to vehicle jhana. So in Dzogchen, it's possible to view and understand and have the experience of the central channel as being huge, absolutely enormous, encompassing the whole of the physical body and right out there. There's no restriction of the central channel being only in the center of, like, starting here and going down. Yeah. And there's a whole deal of play around that experience. And there isn't this experience of there are channels and the wind goes through. It's much more like, you know how water comes down a mountainside, and the nature of the water coming down the mountain is that it finds the most natural course. And in finding the most natural course, there is a channel that carves itself. So the water and the channel are not any. They're mutually defining. It's not that there exists this channel already and then water goes there. There may be some kind of disruption in the landscape, and then the water finds another way to flow, and then a new channel will develop itself. But the experience is, oh, the sensation is describing what it is that a channel is. So it isn't like this, oh, there's this hollow thing that exists already, and then you don't experience it like that. You experience it like the sensation is carving, is describing where flow can happen. There's just these kind of different ways of coming to the experience of what subtle body energy can be. Our bodies, if we do think of them or have this analogy of there being a terrain, then there are just very natural places, like, it's not unusual to feel warmth in the heart because our entire physiological system is kind of built such that that is a place that warmth happens. The nature of the sensation can be hugely varied. It's not like there's a right kind of sensation that you're looking for. It's more that as your physicality and your embodied experience opens, sensation has more possibility space to unfold in. Making that concrete, I was talking with somebody yesterday. One of the experiences that he was having was that, oh, if I notice that there's been this kind of strap between here and here, and it kind of, I didn't even know it was there before, but if I breathe, so the suggestion was, see what it's like to breathe through this area just here, which is an odd thing to say, isn't it? But see what it's like to breathe through. For somebody, that could open up this whole area such that it seems like, oh, there's been a strap there that I didn't realize was holding things tight. It was kind of tightened up. And so you can think of our whole body as the way that we have created for ourselves to move through the world is strapped. We've found a real creative way of strapping ourselves up in order to deal with these things that get kind of thrown around, and we've been creating a way to move through the world, and we haven't seen what that is like. We haven't seen how we've done that. And Long Day is a window. It's like a lens or a window through which you can begin to see how you've created this entire harness. It's amazing. I mean, the whole thing is like all strapped up together, and there's this like this one and that one. It's like that you could just kind of tweak a buckle and the entire thing just unravels, and that might be extraordinary. But it's also possible to have like, oh yeah, that one and this one, and that's connected to this, and then everything just begins to relax a little bit. Physical constraints that I come to understand and see, that is duality in the context of that sentence. And freedom, freeing constraints, comes to be the experience of non-duality. Or actually, I don't often use the word non-duality because it's so could mean so many different things. But we're talking about freeing constraint, physically, emotionally, somatically, conceptually, through all of perception. Just freeing, having the experience of constraint, freeing itself, actually getting out of the way, so that constraint that we hadn't even noticed was being held has the freedom to move.